Hey there, it's Jose again. In today's video, I'm going to be working on a background painting using watercolors. This one's going to be a little bit different because most of the other stuff I do on this channel is mainly like a one subject with a plain background. This is going to be the opposite, no subject, just the background. Alright, getting started, I already have everything sketched out very lightly with watercolor pencils. It's hard to see, but there's some areas where I'm going to be having some fencing. I'm going to be using some masking fluid to cover that up, and we'll be back after I do that. I skipped that step because you couldn't really see anything, and now I'm going to be working on the background. This is going to be kind of like a house with some neighboring houses nearby and some different elements in the background and foreground, and I wanted to do a night scene. So what I'm doing right now is I'm doing some color blocking, meaning I'm going through and I am coloring in a lighter shade of color the different aspects of the painting. That way you can start visualizing, and I myself can start visualizing where everything's gonna be falling into place. Being that it's a night scene, of course the lighting is going to be very specifically muted and almost one tone, but I wanted to break it up, make sure that all the different aspects were readable by using slightly variations of some grays and some purples. And there is a light post that's shining some light on the ground, and that's going to be the yellow area you see on the right side of the painting. And after I do that, I let it dry for a little bit, and then I go back in and I start adding some more depth and some more lighting effects and some different colors around. And something about watercolors, it's easier to work in layers, and you always want to work from lighter to darker colors because you can't just turn back time and make something that's already a dark shade of watercolor into a lighter color without jeopardizing the integrity of the paper and really doing a lot to it. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to start working on the details and some of the shading where I want things to be very almost kind of broken into different sections by shapes, and little by little I'm just trying to get all the colors to be a little bit darker. Again, I am still kind of trying to keep the things that I designed to have different colors in there, to keep those things kind of, you know, different, because everything is going to be a similar shade of darkness. But if everything looks the same, it's going to be hard to read. So I'm going through and making sure that I'm using purples, I'm using reds, I'm using blues to kind of almost create layers of what's closest to the foreground, what's furthest away. And as you can see, the fencing area is staying quite light, and that's just a masking fluid doing its job. And now I let this dry again, and I go back with a smaller brush, and now I start really working on some details. I'm start figuring out the windows and how I want those to look like, different lines, making sure that the lines are a lot straighter and a lot more refined and readable to the eye. So that's what I'm working on right now. Now, of course, being that it's going to be a night sky, I wanted to make it a little bit cloudy, just because I wanted to stay away from just a complete black sky or very black tones. So I wanted to make it a cloudy sky that saved two issues. I don't have to have a purely black sky, and I also don't have to worry about doing stars because they're being blocked off by the clouds. So it gave me a way to make the sky a little bit more interesting and use the same colors I'm using throughout all the foreground pieces in the sky without it looking too out of place. Now this is for a project that I'm working on, and I wanted for it to be a little bit more graphic than realistic, and I also wanted to give it more of a almost storybook look to it. So you'll see a lot of areas are going to have some very distinctive larger strokes around the edges, like I'm doing right here. That's just simply to kind of give it more of a storybook, like you're looking through a window or into a book and you're seeing this night scene. So after I get most of everything the way I want it and some of the shading done, then I can move over into removing the masking fluid. Now it looks pretty dumb having the fence be a bright, beautiful, crisp white while it is a night scene. So I'm going through and I'm adding some shading and some details and some lighting effects, adding some of the yellow highlights on the fence closest to the light post, and just getting the fencing. While I wanted for it to be very crisp and very readable, I didn't want for it to just be plain white because that makes no sense. And again, just always want to go back and add a couple extra little details. So here it is. I call this piece done now. Now I'm going to remove the tape, and I wanted to keep this on real speed because I want to show how you should remove the tape. You should want to remove the tape, just kind of fold it over on itself and keep it as flat as possible. And that's what I found works best so the paper doesn't tear. Spoiler alert, it does tear a little bit in the bottom, but we'll get to that. So I'm removing the tape, and as you can see, I still get that nice little crisp white edge, and it makes the painting look really finished, and my paper didn't warp, and everything kind of stayed where I want it to be. So here I don't do it that way, I just lift straight up and the paper rips. So I go on the other side and I get the tape up, and then I just peel it back. Like I said before, just kind of fold it almost flat on itself and you lightly peel back. And here we go. You see the spot where it counter a little bit, so all I have to do there is I take out the piece that kind of lifted up, and then I get some more black paint and I fill in that little spot. So I had an idea what I wanted for this to look like when I started doing it. It came out quite differently. I realized that what I wanted to make it look like wouldn't make sense for it to look at night. I wanted for things to be a little bit more defined and brighter colors and colors that were not so close to each other, but that just wouldn't make sense at nighttime. So here's the finished piece. Let me know what you guys thought. This took me about 2 hours. Yeah. So let me know what you guys thought. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye. Thanks for watching my video. Make sure to like it, leave a comment below, and for more art related videos, go to my channel and subscribe.